there is a famous theme, the theme from The Godfather, which goes like this. Hello my friends! I've been invited to this show called Blast in the Past by a friend because I had a chance to witness the Bonanno family, the senior and the junior, and there is a film devoted to their lives, especially to the life of the senior, who was a godfather, and he controlled a lot of parts of New York. You have to excuse my language, I'm still not very good at it. But there is a film and I would like to talk about it. It is on a DVD format, but everybody in the past watched VHS tapes, so it's an improvement. What are we even talking about? So let me make you an offer you can't refuse. That is me talking about this film. And remember, there is omerta. So once you promise to watch this film, you'll have to deliver on it. We live by our word, we live by our honor, and this has always been the values that family represented, the Bonanno family. So let's kick it off, as they say.
My name is Joseph Bonanno. I was born in Castellamare, Sicily, 94 years ago.
The film Bonanno, A Godfather's Story was released in 1999 and it was directed by Michael Poulet and it was written by Bill Bonanno and Joseph Bonanno, the members of the Bonanno family, the infamous one or very famous one. There are many naysayers who say that this film derives heavily from The Godfather, especially the part number 1 and the part number 2 from the 1970s. But I would say it's a bunch of nonsense, and pronto you will realize that it is a thing of its own. It has some similarities, but it is nonetheless a fascinating story of a godfather, a man with honor, a man with values, who would stand by his men and by his word. And he was unlike Al Capone. Whenever it was needed, he was ruthless. He would have men killed, but he valued loyalty, and if somebody in the family was loyal to him, he would return it to them manifold in many ways. But he was no slouch and he was not dumb. He was, as they call him, a chess player. He would plan many steps ahead in this game called life and in this game called running organized crime from behind the scenes as a don, as a godfather, or many people could say the godfather, although he was one of many, but perhaps the only one with such strong moral backbone considering his profession, and this is an admirable thing.
Look very closely, Felice, and remember, Salvatore Bonanno's hands are not shaking.
The film Bonanno, A Godfather's Story is a mini TV series. It consists of 2 parts, the part number 1 and the part number 2. Both of them have the running time of around 1 hour 27 minutes, and the total running time is around 2 hours 50 minutes, which I don't think it's even enough to cover all elements of Mr. Bonanno's magnificent life and his story, but it covers the pivotal points, and I have to admit that it paints him as a great man of honor, of values, of respect. He was respected and he would respect everybody who was loyal to him. If somebody wasn't loyal, if somebody would step on his foot, he would have them killed, he would have them shot, banished from the family, and then if they ever wanted to come back, they would end up swimming with fish in cement shoes.
What makes this process work is the belief in friendships, connections, family ties.
Like one of the less fortunate ones in this business, in this profession, but this is the price you have to pay if you ever decide to enter this kind of activity, the life of crime. You have to take into account that if you are greedy, if you are avaricious, if you want more, then it's given to you. If you bite the hand which provides food to you, it will be bitten off and you will end up dead. Probably 6 feet under, swimming with sharks or swimming with fish in cement shoes down at the deep of the ocean. This is the price you take, and you have to take it into account.
We were to become a small guerrilla army, constantly on the move. We had an expression for it. We called it going to the mattresses.
I may be somehow biased, but not only do I know the family itself, but I also am a fan of gangster flicks representing that shady part of life, as many people would say. And in this case, we have a whole spectrum of Mr. Bonanno's life. From the very beginning, his childhood, the problematic one, when he had to grow up in the world of violence and crime. Then when he came to the United States, he started running his own business. He became a godfather. He finally got his citizenship. He had a son. Then he had a second son.
What?
And what will happen to us if it is you that dies in a ditch on the road?
What else would you have me do?
And he would start slowly to lose his position, his footing in the business. Some people would stand against him, some people would try to betray him, but he was always on top of the game, because he was no slouch and he was a smart man. You had to respect Mr. Bonanno, for not only for his values, not only for the values alone, and his moral backbone as a gangster, but also for his cleverness and smartness and planning ahead of everybody. And he emerged victorious at the end of the day, although he had to do time, but it was only 17 months, and it was for neglecting paying taxes like Al Capone. But unlike Al Capone, he was a different kind of a gangster, an old-fashioned one with values. He was a little bit like Mr. Corleone from The Godfather. If somebody respected him, they would sometimes even graciously give them a second chance to better themselves, to improve, maybe to change their ways. But very often, the second chance was being banished, and you would have to live forever. If you ever step your foot again in the territory, you would end up dead. Just like that. That's the way you pay, and you have to take it into account. You have to agree with that.
And that I do not forgive.
And remember that Cosa Nostra, which means our thing and our family in English, as they explain it before the commission, this is something that you live by. This is your family. If you are a godfather, the other people, they may not be related to you by blood, by kinship, but they are your brothers, and they are your family, and they should protect you, should protect them, and you have to think of each other and one another, and stand by them, like in a normal family. But if somebody is too greedy, then they should go. And if they come back, then they will live forever, but not in the way that they imagine it to be.
That all they can read is blood. Then we communicate.
In the Prohibition era in America, making money was easy. You had speakeasies with alcohol and you had gambling, and that was like printing money at that time. But later on, the drugs came in a lot. A couple of decades later, and Mr. Bonanno didn't want to enter this dirty business because it would corrupt the minds of people. It would make them go astray. So he saw the danger. He knew that it could destroy the whole organization because, as he says, what if people not only sold them but started using them? And he saw the dangers. He said no. But the rest of the family wanted to enter that business of drugs, of narcotics, and that was the end. And Mr. Bonanno wanted to retire a happy man and to set his family, sort them for life. But other dons, godfathers, they didn't let him do that in peace. But Mr. Bonanno was a smart guy. He was very clever.
I also don't believe in drugs. For years, I paid my people extra so they wouldn't do that kind of business.
And he had it all planned. So, like I've said, he emerged victorious in this game of chess. Because it's not about making the right next move, but many of them ahead. And he knew that exactly. There is a famous theme, the theme from The Godfather, which goes like this. You have to forgive me for my singing, because I'm not the best singer, but still I think that it conveys the message, and I think that such a theme, something like this in this vein would be great for Bonanno, A Godfather Story, but alas, the music is not so recognizable as it is in the original Godfather. But this is a TV series, a mini TV series, a TV production. It had no budget at all, but you can see the heart, the soul put into the story, and it was written by the Bonanno family. Bill and Joseph Bonanno, and one more screenwriter. And I know that Mr. Bonanno was a good guy, but some people claim that it represents the glorified picture of being a gangster, that this is such a nice person, always standing by their values, and I think that Mr. Bonanno was like that, so it's not exaggerated. He was an old-style gangster who would value those things.
Thank you.
Since when does a daughter of mine disobey her father?
And as you can imagine, when there is organized crime, Cosa Nostra, then especially when it was during Kennedy's era in the 1960s, the Commission Against Organized Crime was against the Bonanno family and all the other families. And there is a very interesting episode when somebody is on a witness stand and they say either I plead the fifth in order to not incriminate myself, or I kindly refuse to give any testimony because I strongly believe that it would incriminate myself, and they keep repeating that like parrots and even chuckling because it's the same phrase all the time. And Bobby Kennedy, you remember Bobby Kennedy, asks different question. He accuses even one of the persons on the witness stand before the commission of making a mockery of it. But the person replies, I kindly refuse to give any testimony because I strongly believe that it would incriminate myself, and that guy is reading it from a slip of paper.
I never knew no Godfather.
And it was a joke, but later on they find a way and somebody snitched on the family. Can you imagine the tick on that guy? The betrayal, he betrayed the whole family, but he paid for it and paid for it handsomely. Because you remember, Omerta, never betray the family because you will end up not well.
What the hell is this?
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
Back in the early 2000s, there was the first Mafia game, and it represents exactly what Omerta is. That many years may pass, but if you wronged the family will catch you sooner or later. And the games generally, I don't think that it's my cup of tea, but you have to give this one a go. Mafia, especially the first one. Because it was like this film, Bonanno, a Godfather story, or the Godfather represented in the digital world of gaming. That was fantastic. The story, it was such a gangster fling, but playable. And it shows exactly the story of a betrayal, of love, of passion, of killing, of making it to the top and falling down. And it shows what Omerta stands for and it represents.
Gangs of hooligans hanging about dark lanes, and a police force that will not forget or forgive players' crimes for as long as the game lasts.
There is a website called IMDb, and this film has the average score of 6.5 out of 10, and on the so-called Rotten Tomatoes, like a tomato website, it has the average audience score of, I think, 77%. So what more do you need? Many people say that it's not Godfather. Of course it's not Godfather, the film. It is its own thing. Bonanno, a Godfather story, released over 2 decades later. Is it a bad thing that it derives some things? It can be very original. After over 25 years after The Godfather, how original can it be? But many people, naysayers, again they criticize, they say that it ticks all the boxes of a gangster flick. Yes, maybe it does. Maybe it shows the beginnings coming to the stage.
I haven't formally introduced myself. My name is Joseph
Bonanno. I know.
Rising up to the top, and the problematic path running, Cosa Nostra, betrayal, love, passion, the loss, doing time. What is wrong with that as long as it's well done and it's captivating? And I may be biased and partial, but I think that this film is very engrossing, so please give it a go. I know it's not very recognizable, it's not very known and famous, but still, such underrated flicks like this, they make the beauty of the cinema that you may always discover something, don't you? So it's worth giving it a go. And people in the comment sections on IMDb give this film sevens out of 10, which is magnificent. And I don't think that you require any more recommendations apart from those, and of course apart from myself. And God forbid if you decide not to give it a go, then I wash my hands of it. I don't know what may happen to you, but remember, if you betray the family, Cosa Nostra, then there is a price to pay. And a hefty price.
Alright, come out though. I'll give you anything you ask.
To me, it's a blasphemy. It's unimaginable that there are only 2 pieces of trivia on IMDb, that website, on this film, and there is the first one. The 1999 Lifetime made-for-television movies based on the real-life events of famous Italian-born American mafioso Joseph Charles Bonanno, Sir, born 18 January 1905, who became the boss of the Bonanno crime family. How surprising, this is a biographical picture. Recall this episode of trivia? That's a joke. It's a joke to the family, it's a joke to this magnificent motion picture. And the second one is even worse, because it says Jessica Parey's debut. I would say, who cares? Forget about it, as they say. Forget about it. Forget about the trivia section on IMDb, because nothing funny, nothing interesting. It's no trivia at all. It's a joke. It's a joke, so forget about it. Forget about it.
You know? But then, it's also like if something is the greatest thing in the world, like mingy those peppers, forget about it, you know?
There is a quote from Mr. Bonanno, and I remember it up to this day. And it says, "Look past the blue eyes and deep into the Sicilian heart. You know? So the semblances could be deceiving, and always there is a gangster with a heart like Mr. Bonanno. They may be ruthless, but the blue eyes, they represent some gentle side, and in the heart this is what matters. That you are a gangster with a heart of gold like Mr. Bonanno. And there is another comment from somebody on the IMDb website, and it claims that there are no Sicilians named Joe. But this is Joe Bananas, Mr. Bonanno. So if he was called like that, apparently there was a Sicilian named Joe. And what more proof do you require? There is the whole family of Bonannos. I don't understand this spurious claim. It's outrageous.
A small token of my respect, Don Carlo. I was told that you enjoyed a good cigar.
But there is a nice comment, a very spot-on one on this fantastic epic. And it says that the best of its kind since Godfather 2. And with this one I could agree, because the Godfather 2 was the best, arguably out of the whole trilogy. But this one, it is a low-budget mini-TV series, but it has the heart and the soul, and that's all it takes, isn't it? You have to agree with that. Props to Dewey25 from IMDb, who could see the soul and the effort put in this film, and its true value that it's an underrated, undiscovered gem of a film.
Winner of 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of the Year. It is the motion picture masterpiece of the year.
And of course, in The Godfather, the first one, there is a famous scene. Make him an offer he can't refuse. And in this case, you have many offers like this, but nobody puts it out this way. But you know that if there is an offer you can't refuse, so you just can't refuse it, otherwise it will end up badly.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
There is one so-called technical aspect. So this is a DVD release, and it's exclusive to the country called Poland. I don't know why it's never been released properly in Italy, for example, in America, as far as I know at least. But it is a very, very decent packaging. Can you see that? And Mr. Landau, who represents Bonanno, Mr. Bonanno, he has a cameo appearance because it's Bruce Ramsey who plays the main fiddle in this film. He represents Mr. Bonanno, aged 70 to 60 something, and Martin Landau, although he's fantastic, but he's only a cameo appearance in this glorious film. And you can see the climate oozing out. It's a story of love, of crime, of passion.
Loyalty. Obedience. These form the glue that held us together.
And everything of this sort. And I can't complain about the picture quality because I'm a man of VHS tapes. Back in the 1990s, VH tapes were the thing, and this is the DVD format, but still it's good. I've heard something about Blu-rays, 4Ks, but I'm not very much into that technology, but this is a very decent picture quality. So it comes highly recommended. If you have a chance to grab it, please do.
It only takes one look, one listen, to realize how far you can go beyond DVD.
And in the film there is an insinuation that JFK was assassinated by the mobsters, and I can't vouch for that. I have no details on that, but he wronged the family. He wronged the family who had been supporting him in the election. Bobby Kennedy was on their back. The commission, he organized it, he persecuted them. John Kennedy didn't want to budge, and he had to pay a price, apparently, because he was assassinated by the mobsters. Not directly by them, but it was commissioned, organized by the mobsters, by one of the families. That's a theory. I don't know whether it holds water, but this is the theory represented in this film, that the assassination of JFK, it was organized by the disgruntled, disappointed and furious mobsters, the Italian mafia.
Spread the word. $1,000 to the man who finds Maranzano, and $5,000 to the man who kills him.
And to change the mood a little bit, there is an old Italian joke. What do regular babies like American ones cry out when they are born? They cry out, wah, wah. But the Italian ones, when they are born, they cry out, wah. I hope it makes sense. Wah! And forget about it. These are the typical Italian phrases.
Look at the size of that trunk. You could put 3 bodies in there. Just kidding. Just trying to levitate the situation.
I really hope that you have enjoyed my guest appearance here. I would highly recommend you to watch Bonanno, a Godfather story from 1999. I hope that I haven't overstayed my welcome. And remember, this channel, it needs love and support, and you should give it support and love by liking the video, by subscribing, by recommending it to your family, to your own Cosa Nostra, and to your friends, because family and friends, they are everything, the most important things in life. And if you have some undiscovered gangster gems like this one, telling about other important figures in the organized crime, please let us know in the comments section below. And that would be it. And remember, the Omerta rule is forever. So once you are in, you are never out. At least never out alive if you have wronged the family. So I will leave you in peace, thank you, and until next time, whatever it means, maybe here, maybe there, we will see. Let's hope that we will stay out of prison, not doing time. That's the message from me, thank you.
You want her to visit you? Let her stay up all night crying and writing letters to the parole board. What am I doing here?
Word. And he was unlike Al Capone, a chess player. He would plan many steps ahead. A running time of around 1 minute, 1 hour, 27 minutes will be beaten off and you will end up dead. Probably 6 feet under. If you ever step your foot again in the territory, you would end up dead. Just like that. Because it's not about the first, because it's not about the second move, because it's not about making the right next move. All it takes, isn't it? You have to agree with that. From IMDb, who could recognize the soap?
This is my story.